Welcome back for another Telltale. This one's kind of a special video. I did this kind of at the last minute because I just learned about the 100th anniversary of Kurt Vonnegut's birth on the night that this video is going to premiere. I just learned about this like 2 days before his birthday, and so I wanted to do some kind of discussion of one of his works in honor of his birthday. I have to admit, I have not read Vonnegut aside from a short story, To Be or Not to Be. So I'm very unfamiliar with his style of writing. Not that knowledgeable about him except for the fact that he isn't a science fiction writer, but he was kind of associated with a lot of science fiction writers. He was associated with Theodore Sturgeon. He published To Be or Not to Be in, it was either Galaxy or If magazine. I forget which one. So he did actually publish in the traditional science fiction magazines, but you just can't call him a science fiction writer. I mean, you could, but you'd be wrong, because his work is just different. It's not like what anybody is used to from science fiction. It is a creature all on its own. His work is fairly literate. It's very thoughtful. At least that's what I'm finding from the book I chose, which is Slapstick, or Lonesome No More. That's the title. That's the full title. Published in 1976, October 1976, by Delacorte, originally. I do not have a physical copy of the book. Because of the extreme short time here, I downloaded a digital copy, an ebook, and read that. The story involves a man, Winfred, I believe is his name. It's basically him telling his autobiography. Starting out when he was a kid, he was a twin to a sister. They were, they had very extreme features, almost described as being almost like a Neanderthal. They were also both extremely tall, 7 to 10 feet, I believe, is what was stated in the novel. And they had a telepathic ability. And their two minds together were brilliant. But because of their misshapen features, everybody expected them to be idiots, and so they played that role. They played the role that they thought people expected them to play. And so they acted like idiots until one time their mother made a comment, I wish they would show some signs of intelligence. Then they decided to come out and spill the beans that they were super geniuses. And that only made things worse for them. So ultimately, the story is about loneliness. And by doing this kind of absurdist tall tale, using some science fiction tropes, but it's not really a science fiction story. That's not really what it's about. It's about human condition and loneliness and death. The fact that a lot of people go through their lives with little or no real friends or anybody really close that they can feel close to and really talk to. And they face a whole life of that kind of emptiness and then death. That is a a huge issue, and one which has a great deal of depth. But while this book was enjoyable, funny and enjoyable, and I got the point, it seemed to make light of the whole thing. It was not a very long book. It didn't go super deep into its subject, or if it did it in a way that you got to really dig for it. I mean, the subject's there, but it's never really front and center. It's kind of danced around, is the best I can say. Which, maybe that's the right way to have treated this subject, but I just think it took the subject too lightly, really. Or maybe Vonnegut just isn't for me. I did enjoy the novel. I just feel that the subject of the tragedy of loneliness should be treated as a tragedy, and not treated as this total fantasy. I mean, the things that happen, even the science fictional things that occur in this novel, are things that are just, they're not science, they're total fantasy. What I'm really getting at here is that if I were to write a novel with the theme of loneliness and death, I would write a very, very different book from this. But of course, I didn't write Slapstick. Vonnegut wrote Slapstick, and he wrote it his way. And that's really all I'm trying to say, is that he did a great job. But it's not the way I would have treated the subject. It's not what I would have done. It's not what I would expect an author to do with the subject. But that's maybe a good thing. Maybe that's the brilliance of Vonnegut, is to do it in a way that's unexpected. I don't know. It didn't blow me away. It was good, it was enjoyable, it was funny, but it didn't blow me away. So, I will be reading more by Vonnegut, primarily Slaughterhouse-Five. I've got that on my list. I've even got a copy. I'm going to be reading that book and going to be reviewing that. And probably should have done that, except I promised to do that as a buddy read, so I didn't want to ditch that and go ahead and read that one right away. So I had to choose a different one, and I just kind of rolled the dice and came up Slapstick. So I'm interested in your comments. Leave them on this video. Tell me what you think about Slapstick. Have you read it? Are you interested in reading it? Like I say, I would recommend reading it. It's enjoyable, and you may get a lot more from it than I did. Maybe I'm just not looking at it the right way. So definitely give it a try, especially if you've read other Vonnegut and really love his work. By all means, read Slapstick. But leave your comments of what you think about Slapstick and how you might treat the subject of loneliness and death. And otherwise, like us and subscribe to us. Come on back for more. And go get some Vonnegut in celebration of his 100th birthday anniversary. Till next time.